Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm ZS Caravallo from ZK Research, and I am here at the New York Stock Exchange at the Juniper AI NOW event. I'm with Bryan Ward. You're the lead network engineer at Dartmouth College. Bryan, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Before we get into some of the content and some of the things you're doing at the network, just a quick intro on yourself. How long have you been with Dartmouth?
So I've been at Dartmouth in the networking team for about 7 years now.
Okay, and tell me about Dartmouth College. How big it is, number of students?
Dartmouth College is the smallest, but not most insignificant Ivy League school. We admit about 1,200 to 1,400 undergraduate freshmen every year. So that gives us about 4,000 to 5,000 undergraduates. Don't quote me on these numbers, but about another 4,000 to 5,000 graduate PhD candidates, and probably around 8,000 total staff and faculty.
Okay, and so what's the total user population?
From what I observe on the network, we see about 25,000 simultaneous users a day.
Oh, so that's a big environment. I mean,
yes.
that's as big as a lot of global financial service firms and things. So it's not an insignificant size deployment. Yeah. Now, the one thing I know about higher ed is the IT staff are typically pretty small. Is that true for you as well?
Yeah. So there's myself, and we now have a network engineering team of just 5 engineers.
Wow, 5 people.
And
so you're one of the bigger ones for schools.
Yeah. Well, no, there are other schools who have many more, but there's schools who have fewer.
Yeah.
And we all do all the jobs. You know, I specialize in Wi-Fi, but I also am on call and responsible for routing, LAN circuits, firewall. We all share all the hats.
Now, one of the interesting aspects of your job is just the role of the network has changed a lot. In fact, prior to being an analyst, I was actually a network engineer. And back in my day, nobody really cared about the network. It was those weird guys in the basement, right, that nobody knew what they were doing. And in fact, we often joked you became a network engineer because you didn't like talking to people. But I ran a survey recently in partnership with Cube Research, and there were some interesting data points. One of them was that 93% of respondents say the network is significantly more important to business operations today. So talk about the role of the network to the school. What does it mean to the school?
Yeah, that's definitely a statement that rings true to me. When I first started at Dartmouth, the Wi-Fi network at the time was still, it was still in the nice to have territory. But just even within the first 2 to 3 years that I was working at Dartmouth, we saw that the students coming in were relying more and more on Wi-Fi. Now we're at a point where no student on campus has ever lived in a world without Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
They expect it to be there all the time, everywhere they go. They expect it to work. And for a paying student at an Ivy League college, they expect it to work really well.
Yeah, and but I'm assuming it's more than students that are running off the Wi-Fi.
Students,
right?
staff, faculty. We have research equipment that relies on Wi-Fi for communication, sensors on lab equipment. We have some deep freeze freezers. You know, if you remember during COVID, there was all that talk about how do we transport these vaccines.
Right.
They have to be in these super cold storage trucks. We monitor some similar equipment for our medical school.
Yeah, so it's things, it's people, it's really anything you can think of that's connected is connected to your network.
Yes.
Yeah, and so what keeps you up? What are the biggest challenges in running a network like that? Because it's mission critical is kind of an understatement. Mm-hmm. You get upset students who are paying a lot of money, which leads to upset parents and upset faculty. And so, what are your big challenges today?
I mean, fortunately, our students and faculty are much less upset than they were in the past.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
I'm pleased to say that the network we're running now is leaps and bounds more reliable, more performant than ever before. The challenges we're seeing is with growth. There's constant renovation, there's new construction happening. Just within the past 3 years, we opened a brand new engineering and computer science facility. That building alone had another, I think, 230 access points. So
I'm assuming you're seeing bandwidth go through the roof as well, right?
We actually just turned on 2 new 100 gig internet circuits.
Yeah.
We were bumping up against the limits of our existing service. So yeah, the use is just growing more than anybody could have predicted. And just dealing with that growth and that expansion, the more increased use and load on the network, we're trying to stay ahead of it before it becomes a problem that we have to deal with.
Yeah, it's funny. One of my colleagues, Bob Lilibert from the Cube Research, always jokes that we used to say there's two certainties in life: death and taxes. It's death, taxes, and increased bandwidth, right?
Yes.
So that's become a fact of life now. This event had a large AI focus on it. Juniper's been big into AI ever since it acquired Mist. Now, when I talk to most network engineers about AI, it's something they're kicking the tires on. But you're well past that. In fact, you were a customer in this before they were actually a Juniper
Correct.
Acquisition. And so what's your experience been with AI? Is it real? Does it work?
Yeah, I'll start by saying I was a skeptic at first.
You were?
I said this
Yeah.
AI
like
stuff,
everybody is.
Like everybody.
Yeah.
This is marketing, it's buzzwords, it's not real. It's never going to replace what I'm used to as my workflow. It's not going to replace me as my job. And even today, it's still not going to replace me, but I've begun to realize the value that AI can provide and help me do my job more efficiently, more effectively. What I could do in 3 hours, looking through log files, looking at statistics, trying to correlate and pattern match and determine what the root cause of an issue may be. The Marvis AI does that in seconds. I view Marvis as a very powerful, very fast assistant, not as a replacement.
Yeah.
It's only helped me in my job since I've been using it. And now, whenever somebody says, "Hey, Brian, can you just check on the Wi-Fi? I'm seeing some weird behavior. Can we just rule out the network?" It's just I just send Marvis a chat message and say, "Hey, Marvis, what's up with John's iPhone? What's up with the Wi-Fi in this building?" And Marvis will either say, "I'm not seeing anything wrong," or it'll say, "Hey, I'm seeing some anomalies. They could be indicative of a problem. Here's what the top 3 causes might be." And it at least gives me a point where I can focus my efforts.
Yeah. It's interesting that for non-network engineers, I don't think people realize how hard troubleshooting Wi-Fi is. I've always said of all parts of networking, there's nothing as hard as troubleshooting networking, because all you know is it's not working. It could be a client issue, it could be an AP issue, it could be a DNS issue, it could be 100 different things. Yeah. And it's like I heard somebody once characterize it as a needle in a stack of needles. Right?
That is a good one. Yeah. I'd say that's pretty true. The networking team is expected to be experts in everything IT related. The bits and bytes are flowing through your wires. How can you not understand how it works?
Yeah. It's always your fault.
It's always my fault.
Yeah.
It's always the Wi-Fi problem. And I've actually put a lot of thought into this. Other folks in IT often come to the network engineers, not because they're looking to place blame, but because we have the visibility and we do have the ability to do deep inspection. We're able to capture packets with ease. We're able to look at it. We understand the protocols, the OSI model. Whereas software developers, application owners, sure, they've heard of all this, but they don't understand it. They don't live and breathe it like a network engineer does. Another thing that Mist is able to provide to us is a retrospective analysis. So, you said you were a network engineer yourself. How many times have somebody come to you and said, "Yeah, I had a problem, it's not working." "Oh, that was 2 weeks ago."
Yeah, and you can't replicate it.
Well, now I can't replicate it. I've lost the data. The logs may have rolled
And it's
over.
like, call me when it happens again.
Call me when it happens again. And then
by the time they call, it's
can't.
gone.
They're in a boardroom meeting. They plug in the HDMI cable instead of using the wireless streaming. Marvis and Mist, they're constantly looking at the network for problems, even without you asking. Yeah. And when they do detect a problem, one of the features I love the most is it does a packet capture. PCAP or it didn't happen. If you can't show me the raw data that was on the wire or in the air at that time, I can't properly troubleshoot.
Yeah, it's interesting because the data's there, but as you said, finding it's hard. And it was, I was talking with Scott Gutterman from the PGA Tour, and he actually said to me that he thinks of, he was thinking of this in terms of analytics for golf swings, but it lets the untrained eye see what the trained eye does. Yes. And so there's somebody out there that could look at the raw data and go, "Oh, this is your problem," right? But not everybody can do that, and certainly the people that can do that are pretty limited and pretty expensive.
I remember a few years ago, my boss had asked me, "Hey, how can we enable our field technicians and our help desk staff to troubleshoot? I'm looking at the logs in the Wi-Fi system, and it's like client disconnected, reason code 13. What does that mean? Can't you, Brian? Can't you just come up with like a little script or an app that translates these codes into human readable, actionable information? And I said, yeah, we have it. It's called Marvis. Yeah. We no longer need to be trained as high, like not high level, like really low level nuts and bolts wireless engineers in order to be able to best troubleshoot an issue. My help desk staff, they can log into Mist and ask the same questions to Marvis that I can. Marvis will provide that information to them in human readable format, not just ones and zeros and hexadecimal, and you have to reference textbooks of information to figure out what it means.
Yeah, now I wanted to talk about your recent deployment or your upgrade of your network, and I want to make sure I have these numbers right. You did 2,000 APs in 2 days.
Yes.
Which, to me, blows my mind. I mean, I'm not even sure you could physically hang 2,000 APs in 2 days, but somehow you did that. And to talk about the role that AI played in that, to enable you to do that, and then some of the, if you're able to quantify some of the results, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I actually just today published an article on my blog that details that whole story. If you could put the link to that.
I will include the link
notes.
in the YouTube description,
So the short version of it is COVID lockdowns. We all remember that, right? We were all sent home, work from home started, remote learning happened. And towards the end of the summer 2020, the college decided that, hey, we're going to try and bring students back to campus. The best place to learn is in person. This remote learning thing, we're really trying it hard. But people need normal. We need social interaction. I'm fortunate that I'm here speaking to you today. Doing this over Zoom, yeah, we could have done it, but it wouldn't be the same thing. It's the same with learning. Students doing lab research, you can't bring an electron microscope home. That'll never work.
No.
So being able to bring students back to campus with the caveat of lectures and instruction will be virtual. What does that mean? Students were going to be locked up in their dorm rooms, not literally locked, but they're going to be isolating as much as possible in their dorm rooms, attending classes online via Zoom as they had been all summer.
That's a lot of bandwidth.
That's a lot of bandwidth. It's a lot of load. It's a use case that we never envisioned for the network. At the time, we had already started to deploy Mist, and we were coming up with plans to roll it out to the rest of campus. We realized that, all right, we've got a pretty tight window to make this happen. The students are planning to come back. If we want this term to be a success, we've got to improve the infrastructure. We were working really closely with Mist and the Juniper team. Hey, we need small form factor wall plate access points. Just click onto the wall of the dorm room, easy to install, provide great Wi-Fi service at a great cost. I've been asking them to build that product since I first looked at Mist. They were able to deliver. It actually got down to the wire. They delivered on August 19th, and the cleaning crews coming in and sanitizing the dorms were set to start on August 22nd.
That's why the 2 days.
Yes. Yeah. So we only had 2 days to do this. We knew this was coming months in advance, so we were able to plan and prepare for this. We had wiring contractors working all summer doing prep work. We had gone in advance and removed all the existing access points. And then when it came time to actually install the APs, we actually reached out to other campus community members and said, hey, we need volunteers. If you can use a screwdriver and you feel comfortable coming into campus, we could use your help. So we ended up with about 55 people. We split them up into 9 different teams.
But these aren't technical people.
They're not technical people. Some of them worked in the IT department. I think we even had like a director of finance come and help.
Yeah.
Like if you can use a screwdriver and you feel comfortable and safe coming into campus, we will use your help. So we had a lot of people show up, a lot of people volunteer. Some people could only do the first day, some could only do the second day. So we kind of split the load. We expected to be about halfway done, 2,000 APs in total, so 1,000 each day. We actually ended up stopping early the first day.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, we were able to just go through all the dorms, plug in the cable, mount the AP, look for a green light, great, move on to the next one. We did this all without having an engineer with hands-on keyboard. I myself, I was kind of running that project. I was out there hanging APs too. I didn't actually have to be sitting there typing in serial numbers or MAC addresses. I didn't even scan the barcodes. We had written some scripts to leverage the Mist API and say, hey, the Mist API just saw an AP, brand new, power on for the first time. We say, awesome. I was expecting that. Give me the information about that AP. Give me the information about the network switch it's connected to. And then through that, we were able to correlate and say, this AP, this serial number, connects to this port on this switch. We know what port goes to what room in what building. We're able to programmatically generate the name, assign it to the right site in Mist, assign the radio settings and profiles and templates, and start serving users. I had told the installers, the volunteers, look for that green light. And I actually got a panicked radio call, two-way radio. The light's blue. What did we do wrong? If you don't know, a blue light means that the AP is actually serving devices.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm laughing over the radio. Like, that's great. It's your phone connected to it. It's like, but I haven't finished packing up my tools. That's just how fast they came off.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I personally experienced that myself as well.
Yeah, and one of the data points you provided, you said it was 9 times faster, which even at 18 days, to me, that would have been fast. So,
yeah, so typically it takes, with other vendors' products, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes per access point to install it.
Yeah.
And that usually involves a highly skilled engineer. They take the access point out of the box, plug it in on a workbench. It has to find a controller, connect to it, download firmware, reboot 17 times.
And 15's fast. 15 minutes is fast.
15 minutes is pretty fast for this process.
Yeah.
We've gotten that down to under 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So we actually budgeted for this 2,000 AP rollout about a half an hour per AP. We said, all right, if we work 12-hour days for 2 days, we can get this done. But we were going to succeed. We had no other choice. What we didn't expect was to succeed as quickly as we did.
All right, well, just a couple more questions.
Sure.
When you look ahead into the future, what excites you most about AI? What do you want AI to do for you?
So the AI has certainly saved my time. What used to take me hours troubleshooting, looking at log files, like I mentioned, now takes me seconds. I want to empower my junior engineers, my technicians, my help desk staff to save their time as well. Why does a user need to report an issue? The person in the help desk needs to type in all the information into a ticket, forward it to me. I just go look it up in Marvis and send them back the information. My students are smart. They can run an app on their phone and say, my phone has bad Wi-Fi, help. If I can have Marvis be able to directly talk to an end user, that's where I think I want to get in the next few years.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, then you take IT completely out of it, everyone's happy.
Yeah, and it frees us up to do more, well, I don't want to say more important, but more interesting, more exciting work to benefit. Well,
no one became a network engineer to troubleshoot Wi-Fi, I can tell you that much. Right? That is the no fun part of the job. So, so just one more question. Since you've been working with AI for so long, as I said, the majority of the people I talk to are still kind of scared of it. What kind of advice would you give them? How do you get started here?
I mean, get started, just try it.
Just get started.
I mean, Mist is, for years, even today, they've been offering, we'll give you a free AP just to try it. Try it. I was skeptical at first. I'm like, when I was first told, hey, you should look at Mist. I'm like, Mist? Who's this?
Who's Mist? Yeah.
I'd never heard of them. Like,
especially back then.
I took the free AP and left it on my desk. Yeah. Don't tell Sudhir.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I finally actually unboxed it and plugged it in and started playing with it, I'm like, wow, this is refreshing. This is different. This is exciting. And their architecture really takes a different approach than the other vendors typically have. Yeah,
the word of caution I give to users too is it's not AI that's going to take your job, because I'm glad you said that. It's the engineer that's willing to use AI that will take your job.
Yeah, if you were to hire a carpenter to build you a house, would you want to hire a carpenter that has a screwdriver or a cordless drill?
Yeah, that's true. So, all right, anything else you want to add?
I could speak for hours, but overall, we've been very happy with using Mist and Juniper.
Yeah.
When we first selected Mist, I remember looking my colleagues dead in the eyes, like, we're either going to look like idiots or geniuses for going with a company and a product nobody had ever heard of.
Yeah, well, sometimes it takes someone to have some faith in order to change the industry, right? So,
and it was a gamble that has honestly paid off.
Yeah.
I've been very satisfied with the product and the support and the team. So.
but I mean, 2,000 APs in 2 days, that speaks, that says it all. So,
And they're still running.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Appreciate the time.
Of course.
Yeah. So on behalf of Bryan Ward, I'm ZKast Caravallo from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast.